okay, this is going to ruffle some feathers. We are actually the fallen angels, and who you think is the God you're worshiping is actually the devil. This is the book of Enoch, and it sent me down the biggest rabbit hole I have ever been down as a student who is obsessed with learning about the history of the world, the history of us. So, oh God, let's break it down. All right. So, the first thing that really stuck out to me in this book is how Enoch talks about how there are all these different fallen angels that fell from heaven. And I made a joke like, heaven must have really been a bummer for these angels to rebel against God. Well, God, when I got into like a deeper rabbit hole about it, it talks about how what we have always perceived as God and the story that's in the Bible is actually false, and that God is actually like a demon, like not a just God, not actually God, not the light, not the source. It's not really source. So all that to say, oh my God, okay. The God that people worship is actually Satan, and the angels that fell from heaven weren't bad. They were actually here to teach humanity the things that they needed to rebel against the God. And as I went deeper into this rabbit hole, it did talk about some things that rang really true for me. Like, I left the church when I was 12 years old because it did not make sense to me that the people that I had to put myself around were hypocrites and liars and mean. And if they were the only people that I was allowed to be around, because in the Jehovah's Witness church, you're not supposed to be of man, you're just supposed to be of the church and hang out with the people in the church. I was like, if this is how these people are going to treat me, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to be a part of this. If this all loving God is punishing people and doing all this weird ass shit and sacrifices, I'm good. I'm good. Can I not? Thankfully, I had someone of their right mind who was like, you know what? You don't have to. Okay. So I go on down this rabbit hole to learn that Jesus, the concept of Jesus, was actually this disciple or prophet that was sent to earth to remind humanity that they are divine and that they don't need something between them and their connection to God, because they actually are God. He says this, you are gods. So this whole time that religion, they say religion is indoctrination, that is absolutely the case. And a few years ago, I got this like thing in my head that I was like, what if the prayers that have been passed down through Catholicism are actually prayers that are not good, and like they open you up to things that are not really good? And when I went into this like story today, it really solidified that for me, and it really showed me like my gut instinct has always been very against the Lord's Prayer, the Bible. Like, whenever he says, I'm a jealous God, and he demands human sacrifices or blood sacrifices and animal sacrifices, that doesn't seem like the God. So Jesus comes in and like immediately starts contradicting this God who says, you know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And Jesus says, no, I'll turn the other cheek. So is the religion, like, this book is going to make you 100% question your reality, especially if you are someone who grew up in the church and there was just always something in your gut that made you feel like maybe this isn't right, and then you were drawn to those other things that they say are of the devil, like witchcraft, the occult, herbalism, all of these things that the fallen angels that are talked about in this book, things that the fallen angels teach, astronomy, astrology, all of these things. So If that's against God, and those are things that the fallen angels came down to give humanity wisdom about, what type of God doesn't want people to be more educated? And people were becoming too smart and gaining too much wisdom. So that's why this God flooded the earth and destroyed everyone. Not because of the Nephilim. I highly encourage you to deep dive deep dive into this, and then keep going down the rabbit hole, because that's literally the tip of the iceberg. And there is a theory that this is actually a work that was written that the demon god basically had someone write. I don't know, but it's fucking crazy.